You want to look at the new book that was just put out by Donna Brazil.
The idea of running for office is pretty terrifying for a lot of people.
She basically bought the DNC and she stole the election from Bernie.
You're going to be criticized no matter what you do.
Pretty shocking that this degree of collusion on some level was taking place during the time of the Democratic nomination fight.
If Vice President Biden had gotten into the race in 2015, would he have had to compete against the DNC the way that Senator Sanders did?
It can be a very brutal experience.
Well, here's some of the sounds of the Democratic Party dealing with battles from within, as this book from Donna Brazil, who was the interim head of the DNC, talking about essentially the 2016 primary on the Democratic side being rigged. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens just days before elections, an off-year election, a big one in Virginia. Here's the Democrat governor of Virginia talking about this.
It's regrettable that Donna thought this was the time she should come out with this complaint. I mean, God love the Democratic Party, but we need to be...
pretty bad timing for Tuesday?
Oh, very bad timing. And, you know, it's just regrettable. We are unified in Virginia. And the Democrats, you know, they love to have the circular firing squad.
Tight gubernatorial race there in Virginia Tuesday. Let's bring in our panel. Byron York, chief political correspondent for the Washington Examiner. Michael Crowley, senior foreign affairs correspondent for Politico. And Tom Bevan, Real Clear Politics co-founder and publisher. Byron.
Boy, is the president enjoying this. This is the continuing rift of Hillary and Bernie that has not healed and doesn't appear that it's going to heal anytime soon. And to have a person of the stature of Donna Brazil. This is not a bit player coming out and saying this. She was the woman who was selected to try to heal the party after Debbie Wasserman Schultz flames out, and the day before the Democratic convention. So for her to come out and say that this was a rigged game, and also do two things. Also, she not only throws Debbie Wasserman Schultz under the bus, she runs over her multiple times, and she also actually indicates that the ultimate leader of the Democratic Party, President Barack Obama, really kind of abandoned the DNC and wasn't helping at the time. So, I mean, this is really a full-scale indictment of the entire power structure at the DNC.
We should make one correction. James Rosen had $15 billion in the red. It was $15 million, but President Obama did leave the DNC in a tight financial spot. Take a listen to some Sanders folks. We have not heard from Senator Sanders. He's been asked about it. He hasn't answered the question. But others around him have talked about it.
Is Senator Sanders angry?
Well, I can tell you that I am angry. The rank and file of the Democratic Party should choose the nominee of the party, not party elites. You cannot have a political party in a hotly contested presidential primary being controlled by one of the candidates.
This is just further evidence that the DNC needs to be completely overhauled. We must care more about people than protecting the status quo. No more games, no more retaliation, no more picking of winners and losers.
Michael, to Terry McAuliffe's point, this is a Democrat's self-inflicted wound. I mean, this is not Trump trying to turn the page from the Russia investigation or anything else. This is Democrats.
Yeah, and I know that Hillary Clinton, her allies, are furious at this, and colleagues of mine have reported being inundated by texts and emails, just the anger roaring out from that world, and feeling particularly in a week where Democrats had it going pretty good. Paul Manafort and Rick Gates are indicted, and George Papadopoulos signs a plea agreement that, to Democrats' eyes, really propels this narrative of potential collusion with Russia forward. And in general, Democrats were relishing what appeared to be a civil war in the Republican Party. When you talk about intra-party fighting, we're all talking about Steve Bannon going after incumbent members of Congress. Well, now suddenly we're all reminded of the fact that the Democratic wounds are extremely raw, that the Bernie Sanders crowd never got over the primaries and indeed believed that Bernie could have beaten Donald Trump, that only Hillary Clinton could have lost to Donald Trump. That's the view among many hardcore liberals. So absolutely a rough turn of events for the party.
Less so, maybe, about reliving 2016 and more about the party where it goes next.
Exactly. I mean, this was Donna Brazile sort of shoving the Clintons out the door. There has been talk about a changing of the guard. You know, there's been challenges to Nancy Pelosi and other Democratic leadership. And so, but this was pretty dramatic. I mean, we haven't seen anything like this in some time. Donna Brazile is going to sell a lot of books. That was her intent. But it was also just a real indictment of the Democratic structure. One of the other things that Bernie said when the case was rigged against him was the superdelegates. We may see now a push for Democrats to reform the process. So the superdelegates, which lined up in favor of Hillary Clinton and really helped her propel her to the nomination, that might be up for grabs in the coming years.
Now, I will say some news organizations have picked it up today, but when it first came out, it was a tree in the woods. If you weren't watching this channel, there was not a lot of coverage. Here is Rush Limbaugh's take on what happened in the Clinton world.
But since the Clintons took office in 1993, there has not been a single act of what you would call disloyalty until yesterday. The swamp does not want any of this exposed, and yet here comes Donna Brazile. Well, you swamp creatures had better understand something real fast. This is why Trump's president. This is why Trump's elected. He simply is reflecting the thinking of millions of Americans. What is going on?
Byron.
Well, I think he actually has a point. We should point out that we know this Donna Brazile excerpt because Politico published it, so that's good.
I said I gave him credit.
I do think that look, the Clintons basically starved. They took the oxygen out of the Democratic room. They starved challengers in the crib. They did something to make sure that they really weren't challenged. And in 2016, look at the Democrats who ran. I mean, you had one 74-year-old man who didn't have anything to lose. You had Martin O'Malley, the only guy in the real kind of sweet spot of running for president, who just went absolutely nowhere. A lot of the talent in the Democratic Party stayed out of the race because they were intimidated by the Clinton machine. And I think Limbaugh is right that what you see now is the Clintons are weak enough to be attacked.
That's what I was going to say. This is a reminder that the Clinton era is really over. Donna Brazile was not some fringe left-wing character. She was a party establishment mainstay and has spent years defending the Clintons. But this is a sign that that page has turned and people are casting their lot where they see the future of the party, and increasingly I think it is the party's liberal wing.
And quickly, the president did tweet today when he got his Twitter back from the 11 minutes last night. Pocahontas just stated that the Democrats, led by the legendary crooked Hillary Clinton, rigged the primaries. Let's go, FBI and Justice Department. A bit of cheerleading on the sidelines. Pocahontas, of course, is Elizabeth Warren, the senator from Massachusetts, and that is the president's name for her.
Who agrees now that the election was rigged, but supported Hillary Clinton. In the at the convention and whatnot. And it's ironic because I just received an email earlier, I'm sure everyone here did as well, that there's a series of events now celebrating the 25th anniversary of Bill Clinton's election in 1992. They're going to be taking place all around town. So it's sort of an ironic capstone to the Clinton era.